Hello guys, welcome to the day 15 of our coding challenge series, and today we are solving this problem which is ant on the boundary. So we have an ant which is on the boundary. It sometimes goes left and sometimes to the right. So you are given a nums array. The ant starts reading nums from the first element to the till the end of the array. At each step it moves according to the value of the current element. So if the nums at position I is lesser than 0, so it moves left by negative and then whatever the value is at the nums at I position. Similarly, if nums at position I is greater than 0, so it moves right to whatever the value is. So return the number of times the ant returns to the boundary. So in this case, basically boundary is the value 0. Notes there is an infinite space on both sides of the boundary. We check whether the ant is on the boundary only after it has moved nums I unit. In other words, if the ant crosses the boundary during its movement, it does not count. So after basically adding the value of the position I, whether it's negative or positive, it should be equal to the value 0. So 0 is basically the boundary. But if it crosses the boundary in the negative side or the positive side, so it won't be counted. So let's see this example. It will be more clearer. So if nums is this array 2 comma 3 comma minus 5, so after this first step, you can say that the ant is 2 steps to the right of the boundary, and then here we add 3 to 2, which will make it 5 at the second step, which is ant move 5 steps to the right of the boundary. And after adding 5 minus 5 and 5, so we get at the third step that like we get 0. So we say that the ant is on the boundary. So we increase the counter by 1 and we say the answer is 1. And when nums is given this array, for example 3 comma 2 comma minus 3 comma 4, so at first step you see the ant is 3 steps away to the right, then we add 2 to it, it becomes total 5 at the second step, then we add minus 3 to it, so 5 minus 3 becomes 2, then we add minus 4 to 2, which becomes minus 2. So ant is 2 steps left to the boundary, but it never stays at the value 0. It crosses over it, of course it goes from positive to 0 to negative, but it doesn't stays on 0. So we don't increase the counter and the output would be 0, right? As you saw that we are basically adding up all the values at the indexes of the nums array, right? And then checking if the value lands exactly on, if the ant position lands exactly on the value 0 or not. So 0 is basically the boundary, as I told you. So we can do like we can write a variable as integer ant position, which will be equals to 0, and then initialize a counter variable to count how many times it lands on the boundary. Okay, so for integer I equals to 0, now running a loop over the nums array. And then we can basically, what we can do is we can do ant position equals to ant position plus whatever is at the nums I position. So basically with each value that we in the array, we are basically adding it into the variable ant position. So after each step we are doing this, and after each step we will also do, what we will do is we will check if the ant position is equals to 0 or not, which means if it is, so we will increase the counter, otherwise we won't do anything, and just simply return the count. So let's run this. Okay, so it works. Now let's submit the solution. Okay, so we got a 0 milliseconds of runtime, which is really amazing. I hope you understood the solution, and if you have any questions you can ask them in the comment section, and then see you guys in the next video.